And then photography essentially is storytelling just without words, right? The saying of you can tell,
Yes, sir.
or man, what's the saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words. So really just transferring that idea of like, okay, if I can tell a story with a single photograph, a single image, man, what can I do with photography? Like I can really
Mm-hmm.
go crazy with it. So I think those two kind of connected for me, and I just fell in love with it. Really, too, just recently, like understanding, like um, on the podcast that I'm with my co-host, we had a local designer, and he's talking a little bit about the process of pricing yourself, and he was like, you have to pay yourself and you have to pay your business. And for me, I always grew up thinking I just have to pay myself, and it's like,
Yeah, it's
man,
easy to think that. Yeah.
yeah, there's a whole nother side you have to sustain, because it's like the equipment, the whatever that you might not be buying it every day, but it's stuff that you have to kind of invest into it. So it's like whatever you're charging for yourself, it's almost like double it, because it's like put money into your business and then pay yourself too. So just learning different things like that, just as business continues to grow and as I get older. But yeah, essentially just figure out what the client needs and get a price down, set a date, get a deposit, then make the magic happen.
Yeah. And yeah, those are key points, knowing how to price yourself. And that's something I still continually talk about when people, making songs, making beats, or, want their songs done or recorded. That's a big process. And, it's I guess ever changing, depending on, and then like deciding when your rates go up. That's another
Yeah.
thing, those are obviously very important things. Pricing yourself, and you're shooting photos and photography. You told me the other day that you're working in developing your own photos, and you kind of have like a
Yeah.
little photo lab, I guess you could say. What's up with that?
Yeah. So traditionally, you would get like um, traditionally room to be able to develop photos kind of in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm still living at home, so I can't build out this extreme dark room and just transform the house how I want to.
Right,
So they
right.
have, yeah, so they have essentially, instead of a dark room, they have these. It's almost like a garbage bag, but what you do is you stick your hands into it, and then you put the film in there. So it's completely dark while you're working with the film. Because if you were to expose your film before the chemicals process it, it's going to ruin the film, because light is what allows the pictures to be exposed on the film. So you put everything in the bag, you're working, you're not able to see your hands, you're just doing it all based off of feeling. So I had to like work with a couple of test rolls to get used to putting it on the film reel, and then from there you put it in a tank, add all the chemicals in. Once the chemicals interact with the film, then the pictures are exposed, and then you can bring it out into light. So and really, I just learned off of YouTube. There was a photographer who was doing it, and I watched his YouTube videos like 50 times until I felt comfortable, and then I just went for it.
That's super cool. And you say, okay, are you taking the photos that you're developing? Are they taken on like a regular camera, like your personal camera that you use?
Yeah, so they're film. So with this process, it's only film photography. So you get that roll of film, you put it in your camera, you shoot photos, and then once you're done, you open that back up,
Okay, okay.
roll out, and then that's when it goes in that bag. And then you pop open the canister, essentially, that the film is inside, and then you have the strip of film, and then you put that on. Um, it's like a hamster wheel that you put it on, and then it goes in to a tank. You put the top on, and then you're able to pour chemicals into it, and then that's what processes the film.
Huh. So you
Yeah.
don't. So how come? What's the point of having like a dark room? Is that even like really a thing anymore? Or like you said, you don't have
Yeah.
that.
So the dark room is like the next step after you would. So once I'm done with my process, I have a roll of film with pictures that I'm able to put on a scanner, and then I'm able to digitize. And the point of a dark room essentially is if you had those roll of photos, and then you wanted to make prints with those photos. So you'd get what's called an enlarger. And in a enlarger, it's like this microscopic uh, piece of equipment that enlarges the print, and you put it on photo paper, and it basically copies whatever's on your film strip onto the photo paper. And you just need a larger room to be able to do that in the dark, because you don't want it exposed to light.
Okay, so it's all about light.
Yeah, you
Being
don't,
exposed to light.
until things are really kind of mixed or developed, you don't want anything exposed to light, because it'll ruin it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And how long you been doing that? developing?
And it's only been like 2 months. It's only been, and I've only done a couple of roles. So I've had some successful roles. I've completely trashed some roles, so I'm still learning. Yeah.
The golden hour, what is that? And talk about that. How important is that?
Yeah. So it's kind of like just a safe zone that you can always count on if you want to take photos, and it's essentially like 30 minutes to an hour before like the sun completely sets. So you just get like this little span of time during the day when the light is just like that perfect like golden yellow, and it's when everyone's taking the selfies and they're like, dang, my skin is popping. Like that's when you want to get out there for the golden hour, because in the mid like harsh afternoon around like 1 o'clock 2 o'clock, the sun is just like beaming down and it's almost overexposing or just like too harsh, especially on skin and different things. So later in the evening is just kind of like a safe time that you can always count on. I'm like, all right, the light's going to be even. People's skin are going to be popping. Whatever I'm shooting is going to have like this little flare of light to it. So it's just it's a good time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The golden hour. That just sounds like the most perfect time.
But
that makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Do people ask you that? They're like, hey, can we go out during golden hour?
I usually just suggest it, like because it makes my job easier. Like I don't have to worry about lighting being harsh. So I'm like, hey, let's shoot around. You know, depending on the time of year, let's shoot around 6:30 or let's shoot around 7:30. And whether they know it or not, like my goal is like, all right, let me try to get the light as even as possible, so I have to do less work. So these are both film cameras. This one's smaller, so this one I just kind of keep with me throughout the day because it's really simple to keep on my neck and then just walk around and shoot like that. So the size of film that camera takes is called 35 millimeter. So that essentially is what's going inside of this smaller camera, if that makes sense. And then this is a medium format camera, so it's just a lot bigger than that smaller camera. And then the film that takes is about this size. So those are both film cameras. They're both manual, so I'm like controlling all the settings and making sure that everything is set right. So those are like two of my film cameras, and then this one doesn't work as well anymore, but like an original Polaroid camera.
That looks dope.
Large format. So now there's like the Instax, where it's like the small little like quick ones that you can do, but these are the OGs that they had before the Instax came along.
It looks like it. How old is that camera?
I wonder if I have the date on it. But not tell you, but so the film for this one's not even made anymore, so that gives it a little bit of a date. So
vintage.
Yeah. So
what's the one you can't hang around your neck? You just said you keep that with you throughout the day because it's super easy to. Yeah.
If I go on like a walk during my break at lunch, or if I'm doing something after work, I can just kind of pull it out of like my backpack, or it's already around my neck. So it's small and it's convenient. And a lot of like street photos, you kind of want to remain not secret, but just kind of out of sight. Like if you see a cool moment happening, you don't want to run up with this because people are doing, bro.
That's a tank in your hands. Yeah.
This one I can kind of just pop up real quick and like get it. So that's why I really like that one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And what's your favorite one? Is it that one? Or does it really just
I think this one's my favorite. It's easy to be with me, and you know, I can get stuff that I see on the street, or if I'm hanging with friends and I just want to get a shot of them, I can do it. The cool thing about developing on my own is like I can control the pace of like how quickly I see the photos versus sending it off to a lab and then having to wait like a couple of weeks to get the photos back. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, so going back forward, you're recently, well, actually, I don't know how recently, but tell us about the podcast that you're involved with. What's it called, and what's the goal, and what do y'all do?
Yeah, so so my buddy Ben Terry. So I used to work with and for Ben when I was in college at a company called Access Ventures. And he brought me on to help manage a program called Visco Voices. And that was a grant program that started with in partnership with Visco, like the photo app is what they're mostly known for. So I helped him manage that. And then after Access, I went to the design company job at Zimmer Design. And then just recently, this past, since January, Ben hit me up. He's like, yo, I'm thinking about starting a podcast and I need a co-host. Would you be interested in being my co-host? And at first I was like, I don't know. I've never done a podcast before. I don't even know what that looks like. But I just kind of went with it. You know, Ben's been a good, he was a boss. He's been a mentor. He's been a friend, all those things. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So the show's called How You Create. And the whole goal is just to have conversations with creators and understanding their creative process, the tools that they use. And then the big part of our segment on our show that we really enjoy is talking about money. So a lot of money is kind of like this taboo thing of like, never talk about how much you make or like how you do your prices. So we bring our people on and we're like, hey, these are the things that we're hitting. So like last week we had the designer on and he's like, this is what I think about pricing, you know, how people should price themselves. Or sometimes people are like, yeah, I make $165,000 a year. And it's just like the cat's out the bag. Like it's super, and so, yeah, really it's just our goal to bring those conversations to light. And we've been running since January and now we're in April. So it's been cool.
Cool, man. Yeah, it sounds like a podcast that somebody I know does. But that's super awesome, man. It's really the same. That my goal is the same thing. You know, bring these creative conversations to light with different creatives. That's super dope. And what do y'all do? I think you were saying you've got it uploaded on streaming. What's?
Yeah. So we're on Spotify, Apple, and then Substack, and then we're releasing episodes every other week essentially. And then in the weeks that we're not releasing an episode, I'll either go and do like a local photo story of a creative here in Louisville, or we'll send out like a newsletter. So just trying to like find different ways to stay engaged with our audience and continue just to highlight people. And the cool thing is like there's just so much talent that there can never almost be enough people telling these stories or just highlighting different creatives or artists or whatever. Like I love running into other people who are like, I got a podcast or I got a show or like I got this thing. It's like, cool, we need more of it. Like keep on adding to the mix.
And so it's a weekly thing?
Yeah, we try to record weekly, but we release an episode every other week.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So y'all are not doing the live streaming?
It might be something we get into, or just even like recording video and sharing it. But right now we're just recording mostly remotely and then doing all the editing and mixing and whatnot, and then putting out the episode. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I need to get on that, putting these episodes on streaming, because that's like where everybody listens to podcasts. I just wanted to do the live stream thing, but obviously you can do both. But that's definitely something I need to do. You said you use that distributor Substack. Is the
Substack, and then Ben, my co-host, he's really like the one who goes in with the audio, and I like to describe him as a tech geek, and he knows he is, but he's all about the apps and like finding like the best equipment and all that stuff. So yeah.
Cool. So y'all that's been a thing for about 4 months, you said, or 3 months, going on 4 months.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's, you know, we're taking people on this journey of like we'll say in the recording we're like, this is our 4th episode, so like we're still learning on like what we're doing and you know how things are working. So it's cool kind of being able to tell that story as well as sharing other people's stories of just experience of starting a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the same epiphany I had. It's been almost a year now since I started Lush Louisville, and it was kind of like I was seeing this podcast on YouTube. Is called Producer Grind, and they're like, you know, music producers, and they interview producers. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool if I had a podcast. But I didn't want to just do music people. I wanted to do all the creatives, the creatives. So,
or I saw you had a chef on like 2 weeks ago.
Chef
I think.
Damo, yes.
Dope.
Yeah, he's some of that food he cooks.
Yeah,
I gotta get.
what was it, Clay Devlin with, you know, NFTs and like the art that he's doing. So it's really cool.
Amazing. That was that was the first episode this season. That was definitely a big show.
But I think an important part of taking photos is recognizing them as archives and recognizing them as history. So really documenting like the time and place that Louisville was at, and the pain and the anger and just the emotions that were happening during this time in our city. And, you know, as we're still in this place of healing and seeking justice. So I think for me, really just documenting from a place of wanting to archive the work and have it there, rather than a place of like, let me go get these photos and share them all on Instagram and like try to get these likes and like be this. I didn't want to be in the way, if that makes sense. I wanted to be a part of it, but I also wanted to document it from a place of archiving and preserving kind of the moment in this time and place.
You got any last words?
Any final words? No, it's just really thankful for, you know, the opportunities and things that I get to do. I always just try to look at a place of, you know, we're all given these gifts and talents, and just trying to use those blessings from God just to, in whatever way. So for me, it's been really cool just to be able to use storytelling and photography and different things. And I'm thankful for people like you who, you know, want to tell these stories and share them with people. So it's been dope, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Awesome last words. I appreciate that. You too, man. Same with you. Y'all are getting with how you create. Y'all are getting these creatives together and telling their stories and their conversations. So keep that up, man, for sure.
Appreciate it.